Welcome. Today we're going to learn how to use Desmos graphing calculator to plot and build a scatter plot, identify the line of best fit, use the line of best fit to predict outputs, and finally calculate the residual or the error between the actual y values and the predicted y values. So we're going to be using example 1 from the 10.2 notes as our data. So we have information given to us here for our x and y values. To get started, we need to build a table in Desmos. So we're first going to click on the plus button to add an item and select table. Desmos will automatically name the columns x1 and y1, which works well for us. Now that the table is set up, we can go ahead and type in the values. Make sure to check that you're typing in the correct values. Sometimes Desmos will notice a pattern and auto-populate options for us. That's great if there is a pattern. Sometimes we just have random numbers like we have for the y values. And as we're typing them in, you'll notice that points are appearing on the graph. This is building our scatter plot. The last two points are not visible, so I'm going to drag or zoom out to adjust my graph so that I can see all of the points. There we go. So here we have our data entered into Desmos. Now we can have Desmos use that data to generate other information. Our goal is going to be to identify the line of best fit. To do this, we need to tell Desmos to use the information from these two columns. For our line of best fit, we're going to use a straight line, and we can type in the general form of the slope-intercept line. Now, the general form of the slope-intercept line is y equals mx plus b. We want Desmos to use these specific x values and these specific y values to create that equation. So rather than just using the variables x and y, we're going to use the variables x1 and y1. So we will do y1. Instead of using an equal sign, we are going to use this symbol. This is the key that you can find just to the left of the number 1 key on your keyboard. And we're using this because we want Desmos to approximate the best value for the slope and the best value for the y-intercept for these points. So again, when we're making Desmos identify the line of best fit, we do not use an equal sign in Desmos. If we try to type it with an equal sign, it won't give us anything. So we have to use a sign different than an equal sign. So we have y1 is approximately m for the slope, we don't know what that is, times x1, so we're using these data points here, plus b for the y-intercept. Once we type this in, Desmos will immediately calculate several valuable pieces of information for us. We have the r-squared value, which is something we haven't talked about, but you'll learn if you take AP Statistics in high school. We have our r value, which is the correlation coefficient. And we also have our parameters. So our slope is here, and our y-intercept is here. So we want to record this key information on our page so that we can reference it in just a little bit. So the parameter m, 4.03571, that's a lot of decimal points. Desmos always tries to go to usually around 6 decimal points, sometimes more. Always check the instructions for the problem that you're solving. You'll usually be told how many decimal places to round to. In this case, I said round m and b to 2 decimal places. So the parameter m, so the value of the slope will be 4.04 once it's rounded. And for b, the y-intercept, that'll be 5.61 once we're finished rounding. The correlation coefficient, we're just writing it down because that's interesting information to know. So we have 0.9753. So that's a value really close to 1, which tells us that this has a very strong correlation, which makes sense. The scatter plot points are located very closely to the line of best fit. So we are going to use these values for M and B to build our line of best fit equation. Rather than using the variable M and the variable B, we're going to replace that with these actual numbers. So we can say our line of best fit is y equals the slope, which is 4.04 times x, plus our parameter for B, or the y-intercept, which is 5.61. So we want to use this equation now to predict our y outputs. We have two options. We can calculate this by hand, where we take this equation, we take these x values, and we substitute each of these x values in place of x here. We can use a calculator to simplify and see what result we get. That will be our predicted output. We could also have Desmos calculate that for us. We can type in all of this side of the equation, and Desmos will do the calculations instantly. Both options are fine. I will note the instructions here ask us to round the predicted outputs to the nearest whole number. Desmos will want to be very, very accurate and provide you with additional decimal values, which is fine. It will just make doing some subtraction later on a little more difficult. So that's why I have asked for you to round to the nearest whole number so that it'll be easier for us to finish solving this problem. So if we want to calculate this ourselves, we could say for the x value of 0, I would have y equals 4.04 times 0 plus 5.61. And then repeat with 1 in place of x, and so on. I want to show you how you can have Desmos calculate those results for you. We're going to need to add in a new column to the table. So if you click anywhere on the table, you'll see that you can add in extra rows down below or extra columns off to the right. We're going to want to add in a column to the right. We will type in the right side of this equation, the only difference being instead of just x, we're going to want to use x sub 1 so that it knows to use these x values from the first column. So we will have our slope of 4.04, we use the rounded version, times x1 plus our y-intercept of 5.61. And you can slide this over to the right. It'll shrink your graph, but it'll enlarge the table so you can see all of the values, which is helpful. Here I can see for each of these x values what my corresponding output would be on this line. We can see the red points are the predicted outputs that are all on this line of best fit. If you zoomed in really closely, you'd notice that the points are not perfectly landing on it. That's because we're using the rounded versions for the slope and y-intercept. If you used the versions that go to 6 or more decimal places, it would be a little bit more precise, but we don't need to be quite that precise for what we're doing here. So the instructions ask us to round the predicted outputs to the nearest whole number. So I'm going to go ahead and record those rounded values on my page. So 5.61 rounded would be 6. Then we would have 10, 14, 18, 22, 26, and 30. And these are the same values we would have gotten if we had substituted in for x for each of these different values, 0 through 6. So the last step is going to be to calculate the residuals. Now, again, we could do this ourselves. The residual is found by taking the actual y value and subtracting the predicted y value from that. So we could say 5 minus 6 will give us -1, sorry. And then we would have 12 minus 10 will give us 2. And we can continue this process for all of the other remaining pairs of predicted points, and actual points. It is important to include the negative sign. That tells us that our data point is below the line of best fit. If we have a positive residual, that means our data point from the scatter plot is above the line of best fit. So if we continue on, we would end up with -2, +2, +3, should have been -2, and -1. Now, we could have made Desmos calculate the residuals for us. There is a very handy button that appears here. When you ask Desmos to generate the parameters for us, it also has this icon appear here, residuals E sub 1 plot. If you click this plot button, it will automatically add in a new column to the table. And if we scroll over, we can see these are the residual values. And if we compare these residual values to our rounded residual values, we'll see that we're pretty close. Our residuals might be off sometimes because we are using the rounded slope and y-intercept, and we are rounding our predicted output. So there's several layers of rounding going on. But in comparing these values, they all are pretty close if we were waiting to round the residuals until the very end. Now, you could have Desmos calculate the residuals for you instead of using the very precise E1 values. We could have Desmos use our rounded or our predicted outputs using the rounded slope and rounded y-intercept. To do that, we would make a new column in the table. We would say we want to have the y1 values, so the actual values here, minus these predicted y values. So I'm just going to copy what I had typed here, and I will put that in parentheses so that it takes the actual y values and subtracts all of the predicted outputs from here. And if we compare our subtracted values from using our rounded off slope and y-intercept to the Desmos very accurate residuals, we'll notice again, it's very, very close. It's off by just a matter of a couple hundredths. So it's very, very accurate. So at this point, we have been able to use Desmos to place the line of best fit. We rounded off their very precise parameters so that we didn't take up as much space writing our equation. We used Desmos to generate the predicted outcomes on that line of best fit, and we wrote down the rounded off versions of those values. Finally, we calculated the residuals, both doing that ourselves by subtracting the actual y value minus the predicted y value. And that also matches up with the very precise Desmos generated subtracted residuals, although this has significantly more decimal places than what we were working with on the page. The last step of this is to build our residual graph. This is a graph where all of our coordinate points, so this is our residual graph, and all of the points are going to be x, comma, residual. So we're going to take, we will take the x values, use that for the x value of the coordinate points, and the y value of the coordinate points will be the residual. This is why I asked you to round to the nearest whole number so that it would be easier when it comes to plotting the points for this residual graph. Let's scoot this over to the side so we have a little bit more room here. So our coordinate points will be 0, comma, -1. So that first point would occur. Let's do this let's use pink so it stands out. So we'll have 0, comma, -1. So if we use the values of 1, oh, that's way too light. Oh, nope. So if we have our 1, 2, 3, and -1, -2, and -3, we would have a point at 0, -1, so right about here. We would have a point at 1, comma 2, so 1, comma 2 would be right about here. A point at 2, -1, so right about down here. 3, -2, 4, -2, 5, comma 3, so that would be right about up here, and 6, -1. So we can see we have some points above, some points below. There is a mixture of positive and negative points. And if we compare how this residual looks to these green points that are down here at the bottom of the graph, you'll notice that they have the same pattern and the same shape. That's because this is a graph of the residual. It just appears on the screen that has all of the rest of this information on it already. So to make your residual graph, all we did was we took the x values from the given information and the residual amounts that we calculated. We paired them up for each row using the x and y values accordingly. These are the steps that you'll go through every time you want to take a data set, identify the line of best fit, identify the predicted outputs, identify the residuals, and build the residual graphs. So go ahead, follow these same instructions for example 2.